offered a choice between two captive alien sisters as his prize. The human shocked all by claiming them both. The Colosseum still reeked of blood and smoke when the gates closed behind him. Marcus Hale, last survivor of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet's 7th Division, stood in the arena's center, chest heaving, a steel pike still slick with the ichor of the alien beast he had slain. Around him, the crowd of alien aristocrats shrieked their approval, their voices vibrating through the domed amphitheater like a storm trapped under glass. He should have been dead hours ago. The Empire of the Zorith had made sport of parading their captives into the ring, humans, insectoids, scaled creatures from half the galaxy. Most lasted minutes. Yet Marcus, gaunt, ragged, and scarred from a dozen campaigns, had endured. Not because of brute strength alone, but because he fought like a man with nothing left to lose. At the Emperor's signal, the crowd fell silent. From a throne gilded in silver bone, Emperor Calith rose. His voice thundered across the chamber. Human, against the odds, you have prevailed. By law, you have earned a reward. You may claim one prize, and one only. The gates at the far end opened with a grinding hiss. Chains clattered as two figures were dragged into the light. They were sisters. Their resemblance was clear even through the grime of captivity. Tall, lithe, silver-skinned with faint luminescence tracing the veins along their arms. Their eyes, a luminous violet, were identical, except that the elder's gaze was hardened into defiance, while the younger's trembled with fear. They were draped in ceremonial bindings, jewels at their throats marking them not as slaves, but as royalty fallen into disgrace. The crowd erupted again, half cheering, half laughing at the cruel spectacle. Marcus could already hear the wagers whispered among the nobles. Which would the savage choose? The proud warrior or the fragile maiden? Which would he bed, and which would die forgotten? The elder sister hissed something in her own tongue, tugging against the chains. The younger clutched her arm, whispering frantically. Marcus could not understand the words, but he recognized the bond. Family, blood deeper than circumstance. The Emperor's smile cut like a knife. Choose, human. One reward, one sister. The other returns to the dungeons. Marcus wiped blood from his mouth, his jaw tightening. His mind screamed at him to stay silent, to play along, to survive. But something in the sight of the sisters, the cruel theater of it, ignited a spark he thought long extinguished. When he finally spoke, his voice carried with the weight of iron. I choose both. The words hung in the air like a blade. For a heartbeat, there was only stunned silence. Then the Colosseum erupted in a wave of disbelief, outrage, and astonishment. The Emperor's smile vanished, replaced by a glare sharp enough to slice stone. Both. Calith's tone dripped venom. You dare defy the law of my empire? Marcus straightened, squaring his shoulders. You said I had earned a reward. My reward is them. Both. Together. The elder sister's eyes widened, her defiance cracking just enough to show surprise. The younger clasped her chains to her chest, lips parted in a silent gasp. The Emperor descended from his throne, robes sweeping across the floor. His soldiers, hulking reptilian brutes clad in obsidian armor, tightened their grips on their spears. You humans never cease to amuse me, Calith sneered. But amusement does not mean mercy. He raised his hand to deliver the command, to strike Marcus down where he stood. But the crowd, drunk on the unexpected drama, roared for blood and spectacle. They chanted in overlapping voices, alien tongues mixing into a storm. Let him try. Test the savage. Both sisters, let the human fight for them. The Emperor paused. His gaze swept the amphitheater, calculating. Finally, he turned back to Marcus with a cruel smile. "Very well, human. Both shall be yours if you survive what comes next." The chains binding the sisters were loosened just enough for them to walk, though still shackled together. Guards shoved them toward Marcus, who caught the younger as she stumbled. She looked up at him with wide violet eyes, tears trembling at the edges, and whispered something soft, perhaps a word of thanks, perhaps a warning. Before Marcus could respond, the floor of the arena split open. From the shadows below, a new creature emerged. It was no beast of nature, but a construct of war, a titan war form, forged from metal and sinew, 8 limbs tipped with serrated blades. Its single eye burned crimson, scanning the arena for prey. The sisters gasped in unison. Marcus tightened his grip on the pike, every muscle in his body screaming exhaustion. He had nothing left to give. And yet, looking at them, fragile, terrified, bound together, he knew surrender was not an option. The battle for survival. The war form lunged, its limbs carving furrows in the stone. Marcus shoved the sisters behind him, rolling aside as a blade slammed where he'd stood a moment before. He leapt to his feet, driving the pike into one joint, sparks and black ichor spraying as the construct shrieked in mechanical rage. But the war form was relentless. It struck again, catching Marcus across the ribs. Pain seared through him. He tasted blood. He staggered, knees nearly buckling. The elder sister shouted, words he didn't understand, but the tone unmistakable. "Fight, human." Marcus roared, slamming the broken shaft of the pike into the warform's eye. The arena shook with the impact. The machine convulsed, limbs thrashing blindly. "Now," the elder cried, dragging her sister forward despite their chains. They grabbed at loose stones, hurling them with surprising force into the exposed wiring. Sparks flew, the crimson glow flickering. Marcus seized the opening. With a final, guttural cry, he drove the jagged remains of the pike deep into the warform's core. It convulsed once more, then collapsed in a heap of metal and black ichor. The Colosseum fell into stunned silence. Marcus swayed, chest heaving, but did not fall. The sisters stood at his side, their chains glinting in the firelight. Together, they had survived. The end, a choice that changed everything. Emperor Calith rose again, fury etched into every line of his face. He had wanted a spectacle, not a symbol. Yet here it was, a human, standing beside not one, but 2 alien royals, having defied both law and death. The crowd, however, was no longer under his control. They cheered wildly, chanting Marcus's name, reveling in the defiance of empire. For the first time, the emperor's authority trembled. Marcus turned to him, blood streaking his face, eyes burning with defiance. "I won. They're mine. Both of them. That was your law." Calith's lips curled, but he could not silence the masses. To kill Marcus now would spark unrest. To deny his claim would unravel his own decree. At last, the emperor spat a single word. "Take them." Guards moved to seize the sisters, but Marcus interposed himself, every nerve ready for another fight. Instead, the emperor's hand stayed them. "Take them, human. Leave my sight before I change my mind." The sisters stared at Marcus, disbelief and gratitude mingling in their luminous eyes. The elder finally spoke in halting Terran, her voice low but steady. "You chose both. Why?" Marcus managed a weary smile. "Because no one deserves to be left behind." The younger pressed against him, trembling, while the elder stood.